The room might appear to be a chaotic mess, yet upon closer inspection, one could notice neatly arranged books and relics. The porcupine comfortably sits settled in his lair. Lumi, he growled, his voice as gritty as the streets he ruled. The cat flinched at the mention of his name. You've got a scent for trouble, don't ya? Just like your old man did. He shifted, the light glinting off his spines. His lab, that's where the prize is. There's something in there I fancy, a gadget, useful for someone like me, not for anybody else. You'll get it from me. Suppose I get you that device. Lumi tilted his head slightly. What's there for me? The porcupine's laughter resembled more of a harsh bark. You ain't getting squat without me, kitty cat. He burst into an even louder laugh before abruptly stopping. I've got the permits, got them good and ready, but they're no good for my boys. I need someone like you, a family relation, to pass through that door. I've got ears in high places. They owe me. So think of it as tit for tat. So do we have a deal? Asked the porcupine. Lumi's agreement was a silent nod. Porcupine smirked. Mole will get you the pass. And remember, the city's got a long memory. Cross me and find out. Well, okay. I love how their names are just their names. Well, I guess if they're the only mole and porcupine out here, it makes sense. I don't remember if I don't know if we have to talk to him before we... Got a heavy tread, city cat, the mole remarked, his voice a gravelly murmur. Did you find what you were prowling for? Perhaps, Lumi responded. I was told you'd have something for me. The mole extended his paw to present a folded piece of paper. With its aged appearance, it bore a seal that carried the weight of a governmental authority. Doubt crept in Lumi's mind. And if this doesn't work, he asked? It's not just any paper. It's got porcupine's pull behind it. It'll work, trust me, the mole assured, with a firm nod. But use it after dusk settles. Such matters draw less eyes in the quiet of night. Lumi nodded, slowly walking away and feeling the weight of the permit. As the city has fallen, Lumi went back to the civil district. It was noticeably quieter than usual. The lovely hum of the town's day-to-day activities dimmed into a soft lull. Something that seemed to echo Lumi's hesitations. He was driven by a desire to discover the truth. That much was certain. Yet he has grown acutely aware that nothing, not even the passage of time, could truly prepare one to face their past, to return to a place that still harbored so many memories. He looked over the lab, once a beacon of past brilliance and a haven for little curious Lumi. Across the distance, he spotted the officer on his duty. Lumi's paw slid into his pocket, feeling the weight of the permit, his ticket to his father's lab. He let out a sigh and walked further down the cobblestone street. Evening, Lumi spoke, his voice steady, a direct contrast to the pounding of his heart. His greeting hung in the air. I believe this, he continued, pulling out the document from his pocket, is what you'll want to see. The officer tilted the permit towards the light, his eyes scanning over the lines and details. Eventually, after what felt like an eternity, the officer's perpetuating glaze shifted from the permit to Lumi. He nodded, moving to the side, granting Lumi permission to enter without saying a single word. He paused for a brief second, the foreboding signs ruthlessly screaming their warnings, keep out, no entry. He pushed the door. The moment Lumi stepped into the lab, a sudden flash of lights took him by surprise. His father's ingenious invention was still working flawlessly despite the long period of inactivity. As he stood there lost in thought, he realized how much he had missed this. This was the most cherished part of his day back then, a sacred time that he would often share with his father in this very place. Right by the window stood his dad's desk. Little Lumi often claimed it as his workspace, spending hours there, envisioning himself on the verge of groundbreaking discoveries that could change the world. The central workbench was the heart of the lab. There sat a particular device, gleaming and awaiting Lumi's approach. With a deep breath, he stepped further into the lab. I'm pretty sure they mentioned what his father did, but I can't remember. Oh, look at little Lumi. Lumi found a simple frame tucked away in a drawer, a photo of his younger self. Lumi even remembered the day this picture was taken. He could sense the love and tenderness with which his dad had kept this precious piece. It was a silent vow that he had cherished the moments they'd spent together as much as Lumi did now. A comforting warmth enveloped him, invoking the familiar sense of safety he felt when sitting on his father's lap. It was a moment untouched by the troubles of the world, a blissful serenity. "What's that one, Daddy?" Little Lumi's voice was full of curiosity, his tiny paw pointing to a bright cluster on the page. "That, my little astronomer, is Orion," Dad said. "Can you see his belt and his bow?" He pointed to the stars. "He's a mighty hunter, protecting the sky," he explained. Suddenly, Lumi's eyes lit up. "And what about this one?" He pointed to the whitest, most prominent dot on the page. "Sirius," his father replied. "This is the brightest star in the entire sky." Lumi's eyes widened. "You must be joking," he said. "Even that," he pointed towards the lamp, "is shining brighter than this." His father's response was laughter. Lumi looked at him. This piece of paper, Lumi couldn't in a million years depict how really bright it is. He explained. "Oh, my dear Lumi, one day you will go outside on a clear night and you will see with your own eyes how brightly it shines." Despite showing signs of aging, it remained the exact same picture that Dad had taken all those years ago. There he was, a kitten, his childish eyes looking out from the frame. Lumi held it in his paw, cherishing it. For a moment, he could almost hear the distant clicks of vials and soft murmurs of his father's voice. Lumi's curious gaze was drawn to the device. The green liquid pulsated gently, casting an eerie, verdant glow across the lab. He approached it tentatively, recognizing the object from the Porcupine's description. It was smaller than he expected, no larger than an old-fashioned radio. Lumi put it into his bag. Lumi suddenly felt a strange, inherently familiar urge to take the mysterious device out of the bag. Lumi's paw hovered over a prominent button. It beckoned him to push it. With a growing sense of resolve, he finally gave in to the silent call. The lab, once bathed in the warm glow of the sunset, was abruptly plunged into an impervious darkness. Lumi's heart raced as he stood in the unexpected dark, the only illumination the mystical glow of the machine. The hum of the device faded into the crackling of campfire. Suddenly, he was in the past. A younger Lumi, right before graduation from school, found himself immersed in the serene ambience of the peaceful riverside, surrounded by a vast expanse of forest on the other side of the river. Lumi's eyes were drawn to the group before him. Their youthful faces were illuminated by the warm glow of the firelight. He remembered it now. This was the last time they gathered like this, as schoolmates, before life took them on separate paths. In this stillness, only the melodies of Ethan's guitar broke the quiet. Everyone was lost in their own thoughts. Isabella the rabbit glazed around. "I will never forget you," she spoke, her voice breaking out in a whisper from the unusually long silence. Felix's eyes sparkled. "Will you remember me as a tall, handsome hamster with good manners?" Felix glanced around, receiving soft smiles. "But in all sincerity, I'll miss you." He hugged the hot mug with his small paws, cherishing each sip of the herbal tea. "I will too," Clara joined. She couldn't take her eyes off of the fire dance. She cradled her teacup, barely touching the liquid inside. Her usual vivacity gave way to a peaceful introspection. Without taking his eyes off the sky, Adrian said, "I think this is the beginning of something new, something unknown." He paused. "A fresh start. From this day on, it's up to us to decide, up to us to choose what we do and who we become." "And what about you, Lumi?" Clara asked. "Me?" wondered Lumi. "I'll really miss you," and he hesitated. "I hope that this won't be the last time we get together." Everyone nodded. Ethan's fingers danced on the strings. The night air was fresh and crisp, carrying the scent of pine, river, and campfire. It was a moment when all was said and done, a moment of tranquility. The memory enveloped Lumi in the bittersweet embrace. This memory, long forgotten, was a treasure, a snapshot of youth and friendship. The memory enveloped Lumi in its bittersweet embrace. The gentle breeze, the silence, the soft strumming of the guitar, and the quiet understanding that we were all on the threshold of tomorrow. This memory, long forgotten, was a treasure, a snapshot of youth and friendship, forever aglow under the watchful eyes of the stars. Damn, that was it. That's so sad. So that's the first episode. This video was kind of short because I didn't realize that it only had like a few more scenes and then it was done. When they end up releasing the next episodes, I'll make sure to add them and play them and put them up here for you guys to see. But yeah, hope you guys had fun watching. I really enjoy the game. I love mystery games. And have a good day.